today, we're diving into a topic that, unfortunately, affects many of us daily: manipulation. This insidious form of negative social influence shows how individuals or organizations use subtle, often deceptive tactics to gain control and advantage over others. Manipulation can creep into various aspects of our lives, from the workplace to personal relationships, and even within larger social groups. Therefore, understanding and reflecting on these tactics is crucial not only to safeguard our autonomy, but also to foster healthier, more transparent relationships. It's essential to learn how to defend ourselves, and to do that, we will delve into some of the most intense manipulation tactics. It's important to remember that knowledge itself is neutral. It's how we use it that matters. The tactics we'll discuss are dark, and the goal of this content is to help you recognize and protect yourself from them, not to use them against others. Think of this knowledge as a tool. It can create something magnificent or cause harm. Thus, the information you gain here should be used responsibly for your self-defense and personal development. We'll explore how manipulation quietly infiltrates our lives, often without our awareness. By demystifying these techniques, we'll not only learn to identify them, but also arm ourselves with the tools needed to combat them. By the end, you'll be more prepared to navigate the world with a critical eye and an alert mind. Here's a deep dive into the most sinister aspects of manipulation. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us and doesn't cost you anything. Let's get started. 1. Triangulation. Triangulation is a subtle yet potent manipulation tactic where a manipulator introduces a third person into a relationship dynamic to create division, tension, or confusion. By leveraging this third party, the manipulator seeks to exert control, destabilize existing relationships, or divert attention from their own questionable actions. This technique often involves playing one person against the other, sharing distorted or confidential information between parties, or using the third person to validate their own opinions and feelings, thereby discrediting the other party. The outcome is that victims start doubting their own perceptions and feelings, leading to isolation and increased dependence on the manipulator. For instance, in a family setting, a parent might criticize one child to another, forging an alliance with a second child and leaving the first feeling isolated and insecure. In a workplace, a boss might share negative feedback about one employee with another, fostering rivalry and distrust. Triangulation is particularly destructive because it undermines trust and direct communication, allowing the manipulator to maintain control and avoid responsibility for conflicts or misunderstandings. Victims often find themselves entangled in a web of misunderstandings and conflicts, unable to pinpoint the source or the manipulator's role in these issues. To counter triangulation, it's essential to recognize the tactic, engage in open and honest communication with the other parties involved, and maintain strong personal boundaries. It is crucial to question the validity of the information received, seek direct clarification from the involved parties, and refuse to participate in actions or conversations that promote division or distrust. By doing so, you can break free from the manipulator's control and foster healthier, more transparent relationships. 2. Double bind. A double bind is a form of psychological manipulation where a person is trapped between two contradictory choices or conflicting messages, ensuring that whatever decision they make, they are wrong or at a disadvantage. This tactic confuses and controls the victim, leaving them feeling powerless, anxious, and disoriented, since there is no correct or satisfactory way out. Manipulators use this technique by conveying mutually exclusive expectations or demands. Consider a scenario where a parent criticizes a child for not being open and communicative, but when the child tries to express their feelings, they are reprimanded for being disrespectful or overly sensitive. Here, the child is caught in a double bind because they are punished whether they open up or remain silent. Similarly, in a relationship, one partner might express a desire for more independence, but then becomes upset or distant when the other partner spends time alone. The victim ends up feeling confused and insecure about how to act, since every action seems to provoke a negative response. Double binds are particularly damaging because they erode a person's ability to trust their own perception and judgment. This constant self-doubt can significantly lower self-esteem and increase dependence on the manipulator. To counteract a double bind, it's crucial to recognize the situation as a manipulation trap rather than a personal failing. Seeking support from trusted friends, counselors, or therapists can help validate one's perceptions and feelings. Additionally, setting clear boundaries and communicating assertively are essential steps to protect oneself from this type of manipulation. By doing so, individuals can reclaim their sense of agency and confidence. 3. Projection is a cunning manipulation tactic where the manipulator shifts their own flaws, feelings, or inappropriate intentions onto the victim. This crafty maneuver occurs when the manipulator refuses to acknowledge their own shortcomings or negative behaviors, instead attributing them to the other person. Consequently, the victim is left feeling guilty or uncertain about their own actions or emotions, as the manipulator distorts reality to suit their agenda. Imagine a scenario where a jealous partner accuses their significant other of infidelity or flirtation, when in truth, it is the accuser who harbors such thoughts or behaviors. This classic example illustrates how projection enables the manipulator to evade accountability for their flaws, shifting the blame onto the victim. As a result, the victim may experience feelings of defensiveness, confusion, or guilt, despite being innocent. Over time, this can erode the victim's self-esteem and foster emotional dependence on the manipulator. Confronting projection necessitates the victim maintaining a firm grip on reality and their personal boundaries. It's crucial to recognize when one is being targeted by this tactic and to resist internalizing the baseless accusations. Adopting strategies such as keeping a journal of one's thoughts and feelings, seeking input from trustworthy individuals, and practicing self-affirmation can help combat manipulation by projection. Moreover, it's imperative for the victim to learn to emotionally detach from the manipulator and set clear boundaries, refusing to shoulder responsibility for problems or emotions that aren't theirs. In severe cases, severing ties or seeking professional assistance may be necessary to address the fallout from this insidious form of manipulation. 4. Time pressure. Urgency is as a tool of influence. Time pressure is a manipulation tactic wielded to coerce individuals into making swift decisions, fostering a fabricated sense of urgency. The manipulator asserts that immediate action is imperative to avert negative consequences or seize a fleeting opportunity, exploiting the fear of loss and inducing anxiety. This tactic curtails the victim's time for contemplation, research, or seeking alternative perspectives. Consider its application in the realm of high-pressure sales. where sellers insist that offers are time-bound or that limited stock necessitates immediate purchase. Similarly, in personal and professional relationships, individuals may demand swift responses to significant requests or impose unrealistic deadlines for crucial decisions. Caught under the duress of time, manipulated individuals often make impulsive choices, detrimentally affecting themselves while benefiting the manipulator. To counter this tactic, it is paramount to discern instances of time manipulation aimed at swaying decisions, advocating for time to deliberate, resisting the pressure to act hastily, and recognizing that few decisions necessitate immediate responses are crucial strategies. Moreover, understanding that time pressure often signals manipulation underscores the importance of patience. Waiting can unveil additional information essential for making well-informed, balanced decisions. 5. The roller coaster of inconsistency and unpredictability. Inconsistency and unpredictability form a potent manipulation tactic where the manipulator's erratic and unpredictable behavior leaves the victim in a state of perpetual confusion and insecurity. From moments of affection to sudden coldness or disdain, the manipulator's actions lack coherence, creating an atmosphere of disorientation and anxiety for their target. This tactic finds frequent application in abusive relationships, where the abuser oscillates between kindness and cruelty, fostering emotional instability. The victim, seeking to comprehend the manipulator's behavior and longing for validation, becomes ensnared in a cycle of attempting to appease the manipulator, yet never attaining stability or fulfillment. Unpredictability preys on the human need for consistency and stability. When actions defy logic or predictability, individuals struggle to adapt or respond appropriately, fostering emotional and psychological dependence on the manipulator, who appears as the sole source of resolution or relief. To combat inconsistency and unpredictability, victims must recognize the manipulator's behavioral patterns and realize they are not accountable for constantly adjusting to please them. Establishing firm boundaries and maintaining emotional distance are imperative. Seeking support from trusted individuals or professionals offers perspective and aid in navigating this form of manipulation, facilitating the rebuilding of self-esteem and independence. 6. Harnessing emotions. The dark art of emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator leverages another person's emotions to achieve their objectives. This typically involves inducing feelings of obligation, fear, guilt, or shame in the target, compelling them to act against their own interests or values to satisfy the manipulator's desires. At its core, emotional blackmail exploits the emotional bond between individuals, with the manipulator insinuating, either directly or indirectly, that their well-being, happiness, or love hinges on the victim's compliance, thereby placing the burden of the manipulator's emotional state onto the victim. For instance, in personal relationships, a partner might employ phrases like, "If you truly cared about me, you'd do this for me," or "I don't know how I'll cope if you leave me," implying that the victim's refusal would trigger severe emotional repercussions for the manipulator. Similarly, in a professional setting, a manager might subtly hint that an employee's job security or career advancement rests on their willingness to undertake excessive or unreasonable tasks. This form of manipulation often instigates intense internal conflict within the victim, torn between their own needs and the perceived obligation to meet the manipulator's demands. Emotional blackmail capitalizes on the victim's empathy and desire to preserve harmony in the relationship, rendering it highly effective and damaging. To counter emotional blackmail, it is crucial to recognize the manipulative tactics at play and uphold firm boundaries and personal values. Practicing assertiveness and engaging in clear, direct communication are essential in resisting emotional manipulation. Seeking support from trusted individuals or professionals can offer perspective and fortitude to combat this form of coercion. Remember, you are not accountable for the manipulator's emotional well-being or happiness. 7. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulation technique where the manipulator systematically undermines the victim's perception of reality, causing them to doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. This insidious tactic often involves the manipulator denying their abusive behavior, trivializing the victim's feelings, or even fabricating events to confuse and destabilize the victim. Over time, gaslighting can lead the victim to question their own sanity and become increasingly dependent on the manipulator for validation and guidance. For example, a gaslighter might repeatedly insist that certain events never occurred or accuse the victim of imagining things, making the victim question their memory and sense of reality. In relationships, the gaslighter might accuse the victim of being overly sensitive or irrational, invalidating their emotions and experiences. Gaslighting is a potent form of psychological manipulation that erodes the victim's self-esteem and can lead to long-term emotional trauma. To combat gaslighting, it is crucial for the victim to trust their own perceptions and seek validation from trusted friends or professionals. Keeping a journal of events can help the victim track inconsistencies and regain clarity. Establishing boundaries and refusing to engage in arguments with the gaslighter can also help mitigate the effects of gaslighting. Seeking therapy or counseling can provide support and help the victim rebuild their self-esteem and sense of reality. 8. Love bombing. Love bombing is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator showers the victim with excessive attention, affection, and praise in the early stages of a relationship to quickly establish emotional bonds and gain control. This tactic often involves grand gestures, constant communication, and declarations of love and commitment, creating an intense emotional high for the victim. However, once the victim is emotionally invested, the manipulator may suddenly withdraw affection or become emotionally distant, leaving the victim confused and desperate for the validation. For example, a love bomber might inundate their partner with lavish gifts, romantic gestures, and declarations of love in the initial stages of the relationship, only to gradually withdraw attention and affection once the victim is emotionally dependent. Love bombing exploits the victim's desire for love and validation, making it easier for the manipulator to manipulate and control the victim's emotions and behavior. To protect oneself from love bombing, it is essential to take things slow in a new relationship and maintain a healthy level of skepticism. Pay attention to any signs of manipulation or control, such as excessive flattery or rushing into commitments. Setting boundaries and taking time for self-reflection can help prevent falling victim to love bombing. It is also important to prioritize self-love and self-care, ensuring that one's emotional well-being does not depend solely on external validation. 9. Isolation. Isolation is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator seeks to cut off the victim from their support network, such as friends, family, or other sources of emotional support. By isolating the victim, the manipulator gains greater control over their thoughts, emotions, and behavior, making it easier to manipulate and exploit them. This tactic often involves subtle tactics such as criticism of the victim's friends or family, discouraging social activities, or creating conflicts to drive a wedge between the victim and their support system. For example, a manipulative partner may constantly criticize the victim's friends or family, making them feel guilty or ashamed for spending time with them. The manipulator may also invent conflicts and fabricate stories to create distrust between the victim and their support network. Over time, the victim becomes increasingly dependent on the manipulator for emotional support and validation, further reinforcing the cycle of manipulation and control. To counteract isolation tactics, it is essential for the victim to maintain connections with their support network and seek outside perspectives on their relationship. Recognizing the signs of isolation and manipulation, such as feeling guilty for spending time with friends or family, is the first step toward breaking free from the manipulator's control. Establishing boundaries and communicating assertively with the manipulator can help prevent further isolation and manipulation. Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can also provide the validation and perspective needed to escape from a manipulative relationship. 10. Information control. Information control is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator seeks to control or restrict the flow of information to the victim, often to limit their ability to make informed decisions or challenge the manipulator's narrative. This tactic can take many forms, such as withholding important information, distorting facts or events, or spreading misinformation to manipulate the victim's perception of reality. By controlling the information available to the victim, the manipulator can maintain power and control over their thoughts, beliefs, and behavior. For example, a manipulative boss may withhold critical information from employees to prevent them from questioning management decisions or challenging the status quo. In personal relationships, the manipulator may distort facts or events to cast themselves in a more favorable light or undermine the victim's confidence in their own perceptions. Information control is particularly effective because it undermines the victim's ability to trust their own judgment and seek alternative perspectives. To combat information control, it is essential for the victim to seek out diverse sources of information and critically evaluate the information provided by the manipulator. Developing strong critical thinking skills, maintaining an open mind, can help the victim identify and challenge manipulation tactics. Seeking support from trusted friends, family, or professionals can also provide additional perspectives and help the victim regain confidence in their own judgment. Establishing clear boundaries with the manipulator and refusing to accept information at face value are crucial steps toward breaking free from manipulation and reclaiming autonomy. Thank you for accompanying us on this journey. I trust this content has equipped you to navigate the intricacies of human interaction more discerningly. If you found it valuable, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Your support is immensely appreciated. Feel free to share your preferences for future content. I'm eager to cater to your interests. Until next time,